We've all been told the same thing forever. To achieve great things, you just have to work harder than everyone else. Simple, right? But what if that's only half the story? Today, we're diving into the science of neuro-optimization. We're going to explore how you can move beyond just hard work to truly, and I mean truly master your own biological hardware. So let's just start with this powerful idea. Think about it. In the world we live in now, the most successful people aren't just outworking their competition. They're outthinking them. And a lot of the time, they're doing it by intuitively understanding how to leverage their own brain chemistry and neural circuits. And that really brings us to the main question for this whole explainer. What if you could literally program your own biological hardware? Imagine your brain not as some fixed thing, but as a dynamic, programmable system. Well, that's the promise of neuro-optimization. And we're going to break down exactly how it works by looking at 3 legendary performers who absolutely mastered it. All right, first up, let's talk about the fuel for any achievement, motivation. And when we talk about motivation inside the brain, we have to talk about one specific and very often misunderstood neurochemical, dopamine. To really get this, let's look at a fascinating puzzle, Kobe Bryant. I mean, the man's work ethic was the stuff of legend. 4 training sessions a day, starting at 4 a.m. for 20 years. For pretty much anyone else, that schedule is a one-way ticket to total, complete burnout. So how on earth did he do it? The answer, it turns out, is all in how he managed his dopamine. And this is where we have to correct a huge misconception. Dopamine isn't the chemical of pleasure you get from a reward. No, it's the chemical that drives you to pursue the reward in the first place. It's the molecule of more, of anticipation, of wanting. And this, right here, was Kobe's secret sauce. See, most people, they tie their dopamine to the big results, the championship trophy. The problem is you only get that reward once a year, if you're lucky. This leads to these huge emotional crashes. Kobe, on the other hand, he was different. He trained his brain to get a dopamine hit from the process itself, from every single successful drill, every made shot in an empty gym. He found the win in the grind, and that created this stable, high baseline of dopamine that fueled his relentless drive for 2 entire decades. Okay, so we figured out how to manage our motivation. But what about the brain's actual hardware? Well, it turns out you can physically upgrade your own neural circuitry. This is the amazing science of neuroplasticity. Our guide for this part of the journey is a man named Jim Kwik. And his story, well, it starts with a tragedy. As a young boy, he suffered a pretty severe head injury that completely changed his life. His learning difficulties were so profound that doctors and teachers actually gave him this heartbreaking label, the boy with the broken brain. They basically told him that academic success was just not in the cards for him. He had chronic short-term memory loss and read incredibly slowly. So the question is, how did this boy go from that diagnosis to becoming one of the world's most sought-after experts on memory, learning, and brain speed? The answer lies in the brain's incredible, almost magical ability to adapt. And that ability is called neuroplasticity. It's the scientific principle that your brain isn't fixed once you become an adult. It can, and it does, physically rewire itself based on what you focus on and what you experience. But, and this is a big but, it doesn't happen automatically. You have to trigger it. The whole process really boils down to these 3 steps. First, you need mental strain or struggle. That feeling of, this is hard. That's actually a crucial biological signal. This strain triggers a chemical cocktail in your brain. One chemical acts like a highlighter, marking the exact circuits that need to be changed. Another one floods your system with focus and alertness. Together, they send a crystal clear signal to your brain. Pay attention. This is important. Rewire yourself now. Kwik became a master of this process through something called error-driven learning. He didn't shy away from mistakes. He actually leaned into them. He embraced the struggle, intentionally pushing himself to the point of making errors. This forced his brain to release those key chemicals, triggering massive neuroplasticity that not only repaired his brain, but then supercharged his neural pathways. Okay, so we have the motivation and we've upgraded the hardware. The final piece of this puzzle is managing your state. How do you stay calm and focused when the pressure is really on? This is all about mastering your autonomic nervous system. And for this, we have to look at the incredible Wim Hof, also known as the Iceman. This guy has demonstrated an ability that scientists for a long time thought was totally impossible, consciously controlling his internal body temperature and his immune response, even in sub-zero conditions. How is that even possible? Well, to understand Wim Hof, you first have to understand the two competing systems inside your body. You've got the sympathetic system, which is basically the gas pedal, your fight or flight response, and then you have the parasympathetic system, which is the brake, your rest and digest mode. Peak performance isn't about flooring the gas all the time. It's about being able to hit the brakes, even when your body wants to panic. The main control switch for this whole thing is the vagus nerve. I want you to think of it as the master cable that connects your brain to all your organs. It is the primary lever for engaging your body's biological brake system and calming you right down. So how does he do it? Wim Hof's method uses these very specific breathing techniques to directly stimulate his vagus nerve. This allows his thinking brain, the prefrontal cortex, to send a calming signal straight down to his fear center, the amygdala. It's a process called top-down regulation. He's consciously telling his own panic response, hey, stand down, which conserves an incredible amount of energy that would otherwise be wasted on shivering and freaking out. Okay, let's put this all together now. We've just seen how 3 world-class performers mastered 3 totally different aspects of their own biology. Let's synthesize all of this into a clear, actionable blueprint for you. And here it is. This is the blueprint for your own neuro-optimization. From Kobe Bryant, we learn to manage our dopamine by rewarding the process. From Jim Kwik, we learn to trigger neuroplasticity by embracing mental strain. And from Wim Hof, we learn to control our autonomic nervous system just by using our breath to stay calm under pressure. Ultimately, this is the core message, isn't it? So much of what we call struggle is really just us working against our own biology. But when you understand the operating manual for your own brain, you can stop fighting it and start working with it, leveraging these incredibly powerful systems to achieve things that once seemed impossible. And that really brings us to the final question. The potential for all of this, for neuroplasticity, for motivation management, for autonomic control, it's already built right into you. Your brain is the most powerful piece of technology you will ever own. So the only question left is, what are you going to program it to do?